lion out, bring the lion out, bring the lion out, bring the lion out. Hello Libra, welcome to your horoscope for the full moon in Leo, happening on Monday the 6th of February at 5:30 a.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. This is a lunation that is lighting up with such fire and intensity your 11th house, which is where we perceive humanity, where we come together in community and communion with our using some neighbours, but zoom it out. It's with a greater sense of humanity. And so I think that it's coming at a really pertinent time, isn't it, Libra? I would really urge you and encourage you to harness all of the worry, perhaps, that you've been holding as far as your relationship with the human condition. I would take this lunation, all of that knot that's in your stomach right now, and the fear perhaps that's attached to this part of your experience, and I would let it go back to that moon with such direction and conviction and trust that things are going to get better, as difficult as it feels right now when we come to zoom out that little bit further and to witness the destruction and horror of how human beings can relate to other human beings. Now, that was a pretty full-on intro, I apologise, but let's have a look at some of these transits, because I think that there might be some extra information and some extra support for you at this full moon. It's going to be intense. It's going to be a great big Leo moon, you know. That's a lot of emotion. That's a lot of fire and a lot of water mixed together, creating this kind of intensity. Another thing that I'd like to mention is that all of the planets are in their direct motion. So at the beginning of the year, we were kind of half asleep, weren't we? It was sort of this feeling of like, I think I can. I think, oh, you know what? I can't. I'm going back to bed. But that was because Mars, Mercury, and Uranus, were all stationed retrograde. But as of a couple of days ago, I think it was the 23rd of January, Uranus, that was the day that Uranus stationed direct. So it was the 13th of January that Mars did, the 18th, I think, that Mercury did. Let's face it, that is a lot of forward movement after a lot of having to hold back. So as much as this moon is affecting your 11th house and your perception of the human condition, and hopefully providing you with an opportunity to release some of that fear that can crop up when we think about the human species, there's some other houses that I'd like to talk about with you that are sort of, they're taking a bit of attention at this moon. So for you, Uranus having station direct is, putting attention on your 8th house again. So the 8th house is where we've been experiencing these eclipses all of last year, and there'll be some final culminations of those eclipses later on in this year. Also, those nodes will be shifting over into Aries and Libra, so spotlight's on you, my darlings. There's going to be some stuff to let go of as far as your sense of self and as far as your immediate relationships are concerned. Hopefully it's dynamics that you can see shed in order to break free and to allow yourself a bit of wriggle room. But as it stands, the planet of revolution, of revolutionary ideas, it's sort of an energy that represents the outer limits that we weren't aware of. Think of it that way. Think about it in terms of Saturn being the visible outer limits of our solar system, but then when the technology of the telescope was improved, human consciousness was made aware of, oh, in fact, Uranus is the outer limits. And then, then it was Neptune, then it was Pluto. So Uranus is like the instigator of, oh, we know nothing. Holy moly. So that's a nice supportive, we're all going to come to rely, I think, on Uranus over this next bit of time, because we need that sense of, oh, we thought that was the outer limit, but we knew nothing. There's more to be explored. There's more to open up our minds and hearts to. Everything feels quite cloistered right now, doesn't it? It feels like there's a clamp down on, I've witnessed in multiple different relationships a sort of like, this is my experience. This is what I can deal with. No more than this, because it's quite overwhelming out there, There's a lot of people in pain. There's a lot of people in such bondage. It's not fair. And you're a very kind, caring, giving person, Libra. And you do wish to connect the dots, right? You understand that everything is connected. You understand that polarity is an illusion. That if you look for the mycelium deep enough, you realize that it's all connected. But Taurus has been yanking your chain, rattling your cage. The 8th house is where Taurus is for you, and the 8th house is just intense. There's the word taboo is attached to that space, but we know it's because of just the intensity involved. Intensity of connection, deep, sincere connection, mind-blowing connection with someone, and then the horror and the grief of having to say goodbye to them. It can be the way that our finances are sort of wrapped up in the others, there's sort of that kind of like contractual obligation in some way that can be felt in the 8th house. It's the house really where our souls can be saved, though. That was explained to me very recently. So this is Uranus. This is that sort of rebel that's been awakened. And they're also forming a T-square. So remember, 90 degrees pressure with the sun, with the moon in Aquarius and Leo. It's a fixed square. Those fixed signs, they just don't want to budge. So who's gonna win, There's another square that's happening too, immutable signs. So there is a bit more wriggle room, but Venus has entered Pisces, and so Venus in Pisces is they're exalted there, which means that they're incredibly happy and of benefit in Pisces. Venus in Pisces is in a square with Mars in Gemini, and so this is your 9th house that we've been discussing for some time now, this sort of almost this inability to turn the key. It's sort of like your mind is so willing and wanting to expand, and there's, drafts that you want to start writing on your book, or there's, classes that you wish to hold, or classes that you wish to sit at and receive lessons. There's a part of your spiritual philosophical mind that is just wanting to break out of that cage. But Mars retrograde has been like, no. Now, Mars is stationed direct. There's movement in that area for you. And at this particular lunation, at 11 degrees for Mars, 12 degrees for Venus, there's a square. But I like to think of it this way. Venus is your rulership. You know Venus very, very well. You adore Venus. Venus is on your side, Libra. And Venus is in Pisces. They're happy there. They're like a glittering mermaid. So let's have a look. Venus in Pisces in your 6th house, which is the house of the daily ritual. It's the house of our relationship to the animal kingdom, things that are outside of ourselves, life forms that exist outside of the human consciousness, It's sort of things that don't need us in a way. Well, that's not fair. Things that have a separate rhythm as far as we can perceive to life. It's also to do with our health and our body. So I wonder if there's something that you're going to be feeling with this influence from Venus in the sixth house for you. I wonder if there's going to be a beautiful rhythmic sort of meditation, or it feels really sweet to me. It feels like it's sort of like, okay, I can sense that things are burning, everything's on fire, but my inner chambers are being blessed at the moment, and I'm taking every day as it comes, and I'm being gentle and slow, and I refuse to be barked at by that butch Mars any longer. I'll get to it when I'm ready. The draft is on the way. I'll sign up to those classes when they become available. You leave me alone, Mars, because Venus is romancing and serenading me in my sixth house of the daily rhythm. I hope that that's how this astrology can play out for you, Libra, because there's a way of kind of like taking back some sense of power, isn't there? It's sort of like, whoa, not another, T-square with the luminaries and Uranus. I can't take much more of this. The Taurus is like running on empty. I can't do this much longer. This is hard. But there's a freshness here. There's a freshness that will see you through, I think. And it's preparing you in a lot of ways for the eclipse season in your 1st and 7th. It's preparing you, us all, to experience the first taste of Pluto's influence in Aquarius, which will be happening next month as well. So I would take this moment, this moon, I would take it as a recognition that things are tense in the human condition amidst the area of interrelationship with other human beings, and that's okay. I'm going to take this moon and I'm going to remember Venus in my 6th, and I'm going to pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. And give your vessel, give your organism, hug your dog, I didn't finish that sentence. Give your organism what it needs, hug your dog. And that's probably what your organism needs as well, is a bit of love from your animal companions, if you have them, which I imagine that you might have at least one, because you're a Libra. But let's get some intuitive tarot and see how we can cap this reading off. Well, there you are. I got Justice, which is you. I got the Hanged One, and I got the Eight of Cups. Yeah, that's a nice exclamation point to what I was saying, Libra. So this is you. Justice, balance, connecting the polarity, We remember the Libra soul mantra. Remember, I choose the way that leads between the great two lines of force. I choose the way that leads between the great two lines of force. I'm almost getting this image of sort of like, the sort of red or blue, it's sort of the political structures of the current day are incredibly polarized. And it feels, I don't know about you, but I'm so sick and tired of being yelled at by men in suits. It's just such an aggravating feeling to continually sort of like come to this space where it's like, yeah. It's like, it's exhausting. And it's sort of like, it's this private school mentality of the debate team. Sorry, no shade if you went to private school, but like, you know what I mean? It's sort of like, yeah, you're very clever, you've outsmarted me. That's not, like, look around, everyone. The world's in crisis. We don't need you to outsmart the other. Again, we're not impressed. Anyway, there's just a thought that happened. But look, the Hanged One is here. So in that sort of moment of motionlessness, remember the Hanged One is not in peril. They're receiving what they need. I'd like this to come out after we spoke about Venus in Pisces for you, this seduction that you can allow in your daily rhythm, your daily routine, your privacy, even if it's baking a loaf of bread or something like that, it's sort of like, this is my ritual, this is how I'm able to regulate, because I know that there's work to be done, and this is part of the work that I'm doing, if that makes sense. Then we have the Eight of Cups. So this is kind of coming back to that idea of, I feel like the ninth house is going to start cooking for you, Libra. It's all right. We're going to start getting some real progress happening here. The Eight of Cups individual is moving out, setting off to find that missing cup, remember, and bring it back. So we can't set off on the journey unless we are in balance and in some sort of sense of equilibrium, and we've got our triggers in check, you know. It's okay to feel unsafe. It's very important to remind yourself that you are safe. And yeah, at this full moon, witness what's going on, you know, bear witness to the tension, the difficulty, the horror, the unfairness, the uncertainty. You know, cast your gaze to whatever part of the planet it is that's on your mind the most, and recognize that this is going to change. It has to change. And that there is revolution on the way. We can really look to that beacon of Pluto with some hope, I dare say, Libra. I'll be speaking about it more next week and the week after, I think, but this potential for Pluto to bring change to humanity, to bring with it a new playing field, to forcibly remove what is not working, I think is something that we can really look forward to. I think that sort of rattling and that rumbling, I'm brought back to that friggin' hierarchy again, you know, but like that's what Capricorn is. It's sort of traditional hierarchy, you know, a pyramid, an apex. The disintegration of that structure is continuing to happen. And so we have to realize that a lot of this hatred is coming from such utter fear that things won't be like they used to. But if we really think about it, things were shit. Things were horrible. People are mean to each other, and there's no fun in oppression. And that's what we're getting our heads around, is how do we stop the oppression? It's tough stuff. It's big stuff. You've got the stuff. All right, Libra, take it easy at this one, all right? It's going to be, a lot of things may come up. Head to Umarubi, get your birth chart read by me. I'd be very happy to meet you if I haven't already. Do head over and throw some money in the tip jar at buymeacoffee.com/Umarubi. It's always so welcome. I'll be speaking to you in 2 weeks for the new moon in Pisces, of which I can't wait. Until then, I love you, Libra. You take it easy. Bye.